Hi, this is Ashley, and this is the third video to the project tutorial. First, let's start off by making or determining the top 5 numbers of each of our lottery categories. So right here listed on this Word document is my specific MATLAB code that I used. I'm just going to scroll through it real quick so you have a good look. And it will generate the numbers listed here, the top 5 for number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So let me just show you what that looks like in MATLAB, just like that code that I showed you, scrolling through it. And if I was to hit run, it would generate these numbers right here that I have listed. And each one of those numbers are the top 5, like I said. So now let's go back to the Word document with our instructions. And the first thing on the list for us to do is to determine the mean, the standard deviation, and the count or frequency found in each one of the columns. So listed here, I have a MATLAB code for determining the mean and standard deviation via MATLAB. So I'm going to just scroll through that for you real quick, and this is what it will generate. Now if I go to MATLAB and show you that specific code, this is what it looks like. Once again, it's the exact same code that I just showed you, but if I go ahead and hit run, or actually let's clear this window first, clear the command window, and then go ahead and run this information. Now you can see when I scroll up through here in the command window, it gives me all of those numbers, 12 numbers in total, mean and standard deviation of each one of the columns, 6 columns. And those numbers were explicitly stated right here in this Word document nicely for you. And now let's look at the SQL statements that I have to determine the frequency in each of these columns. So let me just list the first column. This is the frequency, of which I've shown to you before in other videos. That code is the exact same that I've used in other videos. And we've got 2, the second number. We also have a third number, fourth number, fifth number, and finally the sixth number, or your wild card or your Powerball, however you want to call that specific number. So those are the frequencies of each one of the numbers listed in those columns. And now let's look at the next question on the list. Number 2 asks us to determine the number of permutations and combinations that exist if you only use the top 5 numbers from each column. So my specific numbers that were generated, if I scroll back up to the very first thing that we found, I listed them out for us right here. So all of these are our numbers that we're going to be looking at. There are 15 in total. So let's scroll back down where we do our permutations and combinations. These are our handy-dandy formulas right here. And our permutations, we're going to first do 15 choose 5 and find that number, and then do 5 choose 1 for our wild card and add those two numbers together, and this is your magical number right here, 360,365. And then we're going to do the same thing for combinations using our handy-dandy combination calculator or formula. And we're going to do 15 choose 5 once again, and then 5 choose 1 once again for our Powerball, and add those together and you simply get 3008. And now let's scroll down and look at the third question, which says if the lottery has to use one of the top 5 numbers for each column, what is the probability that you'd win the lottery? Well, 1 given 5 is the probability of one of those specific numbers being correct. Now, if you want to put them all together in a series, you'll have to do 1 given 5 to the 6th. So 1/5 to the 6th, we calculated that in MATLAB and got this percentage right here. Very, very, very small percentage still. And now if I scroll down to number 4, it says use MATLAB to generate 1 million random numbers using only those numbers found in the top 5 count for each column. Save those numbers and compare to the next lottery. Determine if any of those numbers was a winning number. Report your results. So this is my specific MATLAB code that I used, and you'll see that I actually used 100,000 random generations as opposed to the million that it asked for, because MATLAB just could not handle that large of a number. So if I take you to MATLAB, where I have my random 1 million, it's actually a random 100,000. If we go ahead and clear our window here, and then run this code, as I scroll through it, you can see exactly what it's made of and how it connects to these numbers that we generated from the previous answers. And now as the computer slowly will generate all of these numbers, you can see that they're going to be a random number of sets of 5. And now if you go online and try to find the exact Powerball or the exact lottery numbers for today, they actually do not have them listed for today. So we're going to just report that later once we have all of these numbers put into Excel, or another way to look up the specific numbers that are given for that day. So honestly, today we do not know what the lottery is because they didn't calculate it. But if we go back to MATLAB, these numbers should be generating. Maybe it is having a difficult time doing that, but those numbers should generate after a long time in MATLAB. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've covered all my bases, answering all of these questions. I'm going to just scroll through them real quick so you have another look-see. And that concludes the third video for this project. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Thank you!